What if you do get a wind farm? How's that going to affect your wildlife? You and I have an insatiable appetite for electricity. Come with me and we'll look at the issues relative to wind farms and the communities that they serve. This is the Windfarm Guy. Hi, this is Dennis Stout. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Windfarm Guy. Today, the thing we're considering is wildlife. You know, wildlife is a wonderful part of rural America, and I'd never want to do anything that would hurt that. And I'm very happy to be able to report to you that there is very little negative effect that wind turbines and wind farms have on wildlife. Let me explain that. I hear regularly about fencing. Let me just put that to rest. There are no fences. The turbines are steel and concrete around their base. There's nothing that wildlife or livestock either there's nothing they can do that's going to damage a wind turbine. A fence around a wind turbine is would be an unnecessary expense. Or there are not fences around the entire project. Now there are fences around the substation, of course. It's high voltage. That's for safety reasons. They put a fence around the operations and maintenance facility or around the laydown yard to protect the equipment and such. But there are very few fences that wind farm companies actually put up. There aren't any around the turbines or around the project as a whole, so you can put that fear to rest. Second thing is wildlife don't flee the area when there's a wind farm. That's something that I have heard. It's just not true. Now during construction, with all the activity and so on, sure, they'll scatter, they'll hide, but they're not hiding from the equipment, they're not hiding from the turbine, they're hiding from you and from me. Wildlife doesn't like people. When you built your house, the wildlife did the same thing. When you're out there milling around and doing the construction, wildlife was gone, but every evening they came back. And so the wildlife, during construction, they'll hide, but they're coming right back. I've got pictures of deer in and around bulldozers and different things. So the wildlife is not negatively affected by having the wind farm here. Third thing is during operations, wildlife is actually abundant. There's nothing pushing them away. In fact, there are things that are pulling them in. I know of a wind farm in Pennsylvania that is actually, part of it is in a hunt club. And after construction and during operations, they noticed an increase in their wildlife. And what had happened was, after construction, you know, at each turbine location is kind of a mess, and so they clean it up and they reseed it. And when they reseeded it with what's called the Pennsylvania mix. That includes a lot of clover in it, and deer love clover. So what the company actually had done is they had created all these extra food plots that were in and around this hunt club that was actually drawing in the deer and the wildlife, and it had a really positive effect. The wind farm, the hunt club was thrilled that the wind farm was there and that they were a part of it because of that positive effect. Fourth thing I want to mention are bird strikes. I will be doing another Windfarm Guy later on dealing with just birds and bird strikes, but for today, let's suffice it to say that there are not nearly as many bird strikes today as there were in the early days of the wind industry. In the early days, there were quite a few, but there's considerably less today, and that's because of the different design of the turbines. They operate differently, and it doesn't have nearly that negative effect that it used to have. Today, cats alone kill more birds than wind farms do. Cars alone kill more birds than wind farms, or windows alone kill more birds than wind farms. You know, I don't hear an outcry about the carnage of cats or cars or windows. We need to use common sense. It's not anything like it used to be. There aren't that many bird strikes, especially when you compare it to other things that are striking birds. If you like the information that I've shared with you today, be sure and hit the like button and subscribe so you get notifications about future videos. Now, wind farms actually today have an overall positive effect on wildlife, and you can rest assured of that. This is Dennis Stout, and I'm the Windfarm Guy. Thank you for watching. Working together, we can make good energy decisions and save our planet. I am the Windfarm Guy.